Hey, it's Double Alpha Live here, and I just wanted to give you a quick intro to this video. This is episode 1 of a new series I'm hosting called The Competitive Conversation, where we discuss everything competitive Pokemon, and is designed to give beginners and returning players top tips and helpful insights into the world of VGC. If you like this video, then please like and subscribe, and if you want to watch this live, then make sure you check out my Twitch, the link will be in the bio. Hope you enjoy this episode. Mars, welcome.
Hey, what's up? Thank you for having me, man.
No worries. Thank you very much for being a part of this. So, let's start off with an easy question, because I realize that not everyone, well, people might not know you straight away, which I know is a horror. But for those who don't know you,
No worries.
tell us a little bit about yourself, and a fun little question: what was your first Pokemon game?
Okay. My name is Marco Martinez, but I go by MarsVGC, and I've been playing competitive for about 4 years now. And as far as for my favorite or my first Pokemon game, I believe it was Pokemon Red. As I did start playing and watching Pokemon since like the 90s, so Pokemon Red was like my first game.
Nice. And I think I'm very much the same in the kind of the red, blue, gold, silver age. So I can very much relate to that, which is always fun. It's quite interesting now with kind of watching Pokemon and watching streaming. You have people who are now like, my first game was Diamond and Pearl, and I'm like, no, you're way too young. You're just way too young.
Right.
Now. It's even worse when they start saying like, oh, black and white and X and Y. I'm like, no,
Black and white.
no.
Yeah, at least gold is probably like the lowest, but yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Like,
So, obvious question. You said you've been involved in VGC for 4 years now. How did you get into that? Because I'm realizing that not everyone gets into it the same way, and obviously Pokemon's quite an interesting game as it doesn't have a very clear entry point into VGC. So it's very much,
for sure.
How did you get into that?
So the way I got into it was like in November 2015, and I was still playing competitive Yu-Gi-Oh at that time. And then I was getting a little tired of the competitive scene just a bit. And one of my best friends at the time was like, hey, he was the one that kind of introduced me a little bit into like VGC. He was just like, oh, hey, like I kind of want to get into competitive Pokemon. And, he asked me if I would want to, start with him, because obviously like, when you're starting like in a competitive game, it's not really that great to start off by yourself. So he asked me, and I was like, yeah, sure, I'll play with you. And then after that, that's when like 2016 started, with the new rule set and stuff. And I just started playing. I just started like watching like other like good PokeTubers play. And that's how like my love from Pokemon started from there.
Nice. It's interesting to hear how you kind of transferred from one game to the other. Did you ever find that like, do you ever find the Yu-Gi-Oh competitive play helped you get into competitive play, or was it completely different worlds for you?
It was definitely really different because I guess I'm more used to like more at least with Yu-Gi-Oh, you're more interacting a lot with the player, and a lot of the competitive is always like in like locals, like in real life tournaments. It's not like in Pokemon where you could just like battle of like on ranked, like on Battle Spot back in the day. So at least it's a little bit more like that, more conversation with the person, because you do have to kind of communicate with them, because different type of cards do different things, and you have response and stuff. But yeah, switching into like Pokemon, yeah, it was definitely really different for me. I didn't really know what any of those Pokemon really did. I followed, I know the Pokemon, I just didn't know like how like VGC really worked until I just started like playing a couple of games. Like I started realizing like, oh, okay, so it's in a little bit a way of like chess, just a little bit of positioning. Every team has like a king that you kind of want to protect that would like help you win the like specific games in a way.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say that. I've heard a lot of people recently compare Pokemon to chess, but some people are saying it's like chess on crack, because basically it's like chess but with 900 pieces, and it's kind of like, that's a bit insane when you think about it, but we work with it, we get around to it. By all means, by the way, if you are watching this and you do have any questions for Mars or for me, but more likely for Mars, then feel free to put them in chat. We will get to them at the end. But we're here to talk about Series 9. And we're in that new series. It's just kicked off in May. So Mars, tell us, how would you briefly sum up the series?
Sum up? So for sure, it's basically we're just picking up where Series 7 left off. So I feel like with already the 3 months that we had for Series 7, I feel like it already kind of established that like Glacier teams, especially Glacier like P2, which is Porygon 2, and Cineworm, at least with like that 3 core is like incredibly strong. Basically, like any good player like could realistically win any match, just like with just those 3. But we also started to see like a little bit of picking up usage of Spectre as well. Like in the beginning, we noticed that Spectre was a little bit more of a support in a way, but then people started realizing at the end that, hey, this Pokemon is actually pretty threatening because of it has the same ability as Glastrier, except it's for special attack instead every time you knock out a Pokemon. And then yeah, that's basically where it kind of left off there. Just like those 2 like legendary horses kind of dominating Series 7 at the end, and it's picking up exactly again.
Nice.
Series 9.
Yeah, and I believe there are a few other kind of outliers as well. As you say, it's kind of Incineroar P2 and Glastrier and Spectre are kind of leading the way, but there are different cores, obviously. I think the Venucle combo, which I talk about a lot, is still very prominent and is doing things.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, at least with Venusaur Torkoal, we aren't. I would say we aren't seeing so much of it. I don't know if maybe it's because people were just tired of playing it for Series 8, just because how much Sun was dominating that last season. But yeah, it's still a very good team. I mean, Venusaur is very good. I mean, fast, Sleep Powder user. Vine Lash is incredibly broken. Chlorophyll as well. So like if you can just switch in a Torkoal, again, you're kind of playing mind games with your opponent. You don't really know if they're gonna react to you Dynamaxing or react to you going for like a Sleep Powder. So it's like Venucle is still very good just because of like the toss up there.
Yeah, nice. So we're kind of, as you say, we looked at the top 3. We started to look at Venucle, which is starting to fall back in the ranks. But what would you say that, like, are there any other things that, like, what should players be looking out for in terms of, like, top Pokemon? Or we've talked about top Pokemon. Maybe some other alternative cores that might be kind of, maybe not popular, but maybe will catch people out very quickly.
All right. So I guess, like, really quick, I'll go over for, like, another top Pokemon. And I would say it's Grimmsnarl. I've noticed like in Grimmsnarl, like around like Series 7, it was pretty popular. It's because like it had like 2 different sets that you could realistically run, which is you could either run like Light Clay Screens, Spirit Break, and then the last move is usually a filler. It could either be Taunt, Scary Face, Fake Tears if you want more damage, or like T-Wave as well. And then there's like another set that we've seen as well, which is like the Lagging Tail set. That's actually like one of my favorite sets of Grimmsnarl. And essentially, you just have Lagging Tail with Trick. You trick a Pokemon that you could potentially Dynamax. And yeah, so what Lagging Tail does is when you trick, you give the Lagging Tail to the Pokemon. And then that Pokemon is the last one to move in the priority bracket. So even if you have Trick Room up and you trick Lagging Tail, let's say a Stagataka, it's like one of the slowest Pokemon in the format. It'll always move last just because of like the Lagging Tail. So at least with the Grimmsnarl, being able to kind of use it as like a great speed control in a way. So say like you lead Grimmsnarl with a Thundurus, you can just trick Lagging Tail that Thundurus. Now that Thundurus is not as threatening just because it can't move first before like anything else. So I would say Grimmsnarl is definitely like a really good Pokemon in the format right now. And again, yeah, even when like you're looking at it and like on ranked and don't really know the sets, it's like a toss-up again because you don't really know what your Grimmsnarl you're facing. It could either be the Lagging Tail Trick or it can just be like Screens, but at the same time it could also have T-Wave. And we've seen in Series 8 how much Grimmsnarl actually picked up a lot of popularity as well too, like Screens with like T-Wave, because like T-Wave was really good, and especially having to like T-Wave a Zacian and then just throw off a powerful Max Wild Flames or Max Flare or something just to like Oko it. But yeah, I would say Grimmsnarl is definitely a really good Pokemon right now. As for underrated, I think I want to say Celesteela is actually a little bit underrated because when you kind of look at like Grimmsnarl, Glastrier, and Spectrier, all 3 of them kind of do struggle a little bit against Celesteela. Grimmsnarl can't really touch anything. Can't really touch it. I mean, it can go for Spirit Breaks just to lower its special attack, but realistically, it's just gonna get blown up by Max Steel Spike. The same thing with Glastrier. It's really good. Celesteela has a great matchup against Glastrier just because it's already weak to Steel types, and then you're boosting your defense as well. So it's going to be taking a lot more hits from Glastrier as well, especially if you do have like an Intimidate Pokemon like, say, Landorus or Incineroar. And as well, against like for Spectre, the same thing. We've seen Celesteelas run AV as well. So being able to take those special attacks from Spectre and also just go for Airstreams to potentially outspeed it, or at least your partner to outspeed in the next turn is really strong. So I definitely do think Celesteela is like a little underrated, especially because we did see a couple of Celesteela's top in the recent 3 tournaments that just passed over the weekend. So I do think Celesteela is going to be picking up a little bit of usage, at least like the Life Orb or the AV set. Not sure about the stall Celesteela, like the leech seed set, but Life Orb, Meteor Beam, AV, I think those are like definitely the ones to look out for.
Nice. And I believe I asked you this question on your chat last week, actually, so I'd be interested to hear if you've got any updates from that. Urshifu. Now, it's a little bit off course, but I think it's kind of, we've seen a lot of Urshifu play. As soon as Isle of Armor came out, we saw Urshifu. We have 2 forms for Urshifu. How would you like? I think what we said last week was that the Rapid Strike Urshifu you believe is kind of could become quite underrated in the current series. Got any more thoughts on that? Any thoughts on Single Strike as well?
Yeah, so like what I've noticed as well about like Pokemon and like water types is that, or especially like in Series 7, is that there's actually a lot more better water types other than Tapu Fini. Because I think when people think that they need a water type, they usually just go for Tapu Fini. I don't blame them.
Yeah. Not round here. This stream is all about Polito Kingdra combo.
Polito Kingdra, I respect that. Yeah, but at least the majority, they'll just go, hey, I need a water type. Let's just slap on a Tapu Fini. But realistically, like there's other like really good water types. And I do think Rapid Urshifu is another great one. At least when I was, I did use a team back in December in Series 7. And the team I used originally did have a Single Strike, the Dark Urshifu. But then I realized that my team was a little bit weak to certain rock types and fire types. So then I was like, so I was kind of like really thinking like, what could I actually change? And I was like, wait, I can just swap the Urshifu kind of thing. Like it doesn't do the same thing, but it does fix that problem for me. And it was like, honestly, it was like really incredible. So yeah, at least with Colosso being like a thing, I still think like Colosso is like a really good team still. It definitely does check Colosso. It does have like a decent matchup against Glacier as well. The reason I say that is because it does take a max Hailstorm. And at least with Single Strike Urshifu, to me, it kind of felt like it was just max Knuckle food for it. Especially like when you just like protect in front of it. Like you're taking so much damage from max Knuckle and potentially even get KO'd even through protect. So at least the Water Urshifu does at least are able to resist more hits from Glacier than Single Strike does. Even though Single Strike is still really good, especially against like Spectre, because Spectre is another one of the top 3, I would say. It still does really good against Dracopult as well. It's just like a really strong Pokemon. Even for like maybe if like your team is very weak to Trick Room, I would say definitely try to use a Single Strike. But I do think Water Urshifu is like very good, really underrated as well.
Nice. So you know my stream. You know that I'm very much focused on bringing people from the casual play to the competitive play. Ideally, we would love to have some success stories where people watch my stream and then go to Master Vault here. We're working on that. We're working on that. But what would your advice be to someone who maybe is new to VGC or is looking to get back into it? Say they've built Pokemon for years. They kind of know the EVs and the IVs, but they're not sure how to play current series. What would your advice be?
My advice? So I would say my advice is to definitely just watch just people play. Just watch how they play. Look at like the moves and like selecting of the moves and selecting of the Pokemon they do, especially between like the matchup they go up against. The good thing is that now we're in 2021. There's so many good players that are doing Pokemon content, especially VGC content. So it's not like back then where like when I started there weren't really that many. I think like the only ones I knew back then were maybe I think it was Aaron Cybertron Zhang and Marcus Stratus, but he also retired. So it was only basically like Aaron at the time. So there weren't really a lot of content creators to show like VGC, but now we have tons and it's like really great. So I would definitely recommend watching them play. And if they are using like if they do have like a rental code that they're like, featuring in their channel or just like battles, you should definitely like try it out and just kind of like mimic what they do. Cause that's like a great way, the way I learned. I just like randomly saw someone like upload a video and they were playing on Pokemon Showdown, which is a battle simulator, just so like, you can test your teams. And yeah, he just like made like a team, which was just like a Smeargle Xerneas team, and he's like, and then I just started like watching him play, and it was basically like pretty standard. They just let Smeargle Xerneas, and they either faked out or they either did something else, but they always went for Geomancy at least like turn 1 or 2. So that's how basically how I got like how I started, at least like learning, like just like watching them play, kind of like going step by steps like the way they did. And as well as the same thing, we also do have, a lot of resources now. Pikalytics is a great resource.
Yep. We love Pikalytics.
Yeah,
So
and they also give you like EVs there too. So like if you don't really know what EVs to use, you can just grab one there. It's not, it's not wrong to try out like different EVs, especially if there's already one there for you. It's might as well just try it out. And we have Pikalytics now. We have Victory Road, which again they always they do have like rental codes in that website as well, and they also have PokePay. So if you don't want to play like on the Switch, you could always just play like online on the Pokemon Showdown. But yeah, I would say it's definitely just that watching other people play, playing the game. Of course, you are gonna lose a couple of games in the beginning, but it's just like getting the practice in. Trying to get and then eventually you'll start like learning, like making like small reads, learning how to approach specific matchups with your team as well. And when like and also when I say like using like someone else's team, is that you'll also understand how like the team works, and then you could always implement that into your team building later on if you do wish to like not use that team and now you want to build your own team. At least like starting off by using someone else's team, that's a really great way of starting. And yeah, I think that's about it, really.
Yeah, no, there was a lot to take in. It's good.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit here, but I think it's everyone learns at different paces. Everyone learns different things, and some people struggle with some things. What was the one thing that kind of took you a while to get your head around when getting into VGC? Was there a particular aspect of the game that you really had to take a while to work out?
Oh yeah, and that's being social in the community. So like again, so when I started, yeah, it was just like me and my friend. But unfortunately, like my friend just stopped playing like after like 3 months in, which I was a little disappointed because I was actually like getting really into VGC. Like after like a month playing, I was like, oh my god, like I actually like really like this game, and I feel like I'm playing like okay just for like the first month me playing. So I would definitely think that's like the thing that like took me a while, is to be like social with like the VGC community, and yeah, that's like another great way to grow as a player, just like talking to other like VGC players, learning, because there's like a lot of things you can like learn from other players as well. Sometimes even they can help you like just fix like a small little thing on like a team that you're working on. Let's say like your team like is like really good, but there's like a tiny little like problem with it, and you just can't you just don't know what it is, like, but like if you get involved to the community and someone helps you out, it could be like a little tiny thing, and that you probably didn't see that they saw, and then boom, your team is like complete in a way. So yeah, I would, and it took me a long time because I was playing this game for about 3 years by myself, like just me trying to learn. I didn't really ask any questions or like ask any people like, oh hey, can you help me out with this? I was mainly like a solo, but it wasn't until in 2020 where I kind of decided like, what, I'm just gonna try to be a little bit more social, talk to other players, see like what I could like learn from them as well. So that's definitely like a thing I would recommend people.
Nice. I think the chat's basically telling a lot of related to what you're saying in terms of like understanding how well watching other players to understand what they think, and just watching singles and how to get involved with other players. So that's really good to hear that like there's other people as well who have seen similar things and are working together. Actually, interestingly in chat, Electric Soda is the person who got me into VGC, so I can definitely relate to the whole have the friend who gets you into it, but also make sure you're getting involved in the community, getting to know people. And as you say, it's the joy of 2021 is that there are so many VGC streamers at the moment who are really good, who will really show you the ropes. And by all means, like,
oh yeah,
I can say this from experience from your chat, is that every time I come into your chat, I ask you probably about 2 to 3 questions every single time to go, how does that work? How are you doing that? And people are more than happy to kind of actually explain things, which I think is really
that's
helpful
the thing
for
too.
me.
Like I just didn't ask anybody because I just assumed like they wouldn't really answer me, because I thought maybe like they would want to keep it as a secret in a way. But yeah, definitely like playing a competitive game by yourself is not really the way. And yeah, I kind of regret not like being as social a few years back, because I feel like I really could have, because I always spent my time on Showdown. I would like occasionally talk to people, but I wouldn't really talk like about my team or or anything like that, stuff like.
Nice. So I think the main thing that we all want to know now is, if people want to hear more from you, where can they find you? How can they ask you questions? How can they be social with you? You've kind of invited now everyone to now come to your stream and ask you questions. So
yeah,
you got to let them know where to find you.
Okay. Well, I do stream on Twitch as well, on twitch.tv MarsVGC, and you can also follow me on Twitter, twitter.com/MarsVGC.
Nice. The bot works. I was worried just before we got started that the bot might not work, but I just clicked in. It was like perfect timing, so it was so good. And the link has broke, unfortunately, on my side, but our mods are very, very helpful. But Mars, thank you very much for taking part today in episode 1 of the competitive conversation. Yeah. The last question I have for you is, we're going to open up a pack of battle styles today. Which one do you want it to be? Do you want it to be which one of the Urshifus or an Empoleon? You take the choice.
I think I'm gonna go with Rapid, just because I like it a little bit more.
There we go. Yeah, right. So we'll open that later on in the stream. But thank you very much today. We will put this up on YouTube just for review later. So if you do want to check it out later, make sure you're there. But Mars, it's been a pleasure. We're gonna build a talk hole now. So I hope you have a good rest of the day.
All right, thank you so much for having me. Thank you for being part of the series as well.